Okay, Coach, why don't we get started? Bowl preparations are underway.
Yeah, bowl preparations are underway. Last week we were able to do some work. We had 5 practices, and it was really generic. It's kind of working on our stuff and fundamentals. And then when we found out who we were playing, we were able to dial in. So we had a little walkthrough last night to introduce Marshall to our players, and then this morning we had what would be typically a Tuesday practice during bowl week. I'm sorry, during the regular season. And so we're going to try to get the bulk of our heavy work done here in stores before we go down to Myrtle Beach. I think that's the best way to do it. You know, it's an environment that we know, we can focus, it's familiar, we can stay on schedule. And then when we get down to Myrtle Beach, there are some distractions. So, you know, we want the players to have fun, but I think, you know, ultimately the fun comes in winning the game. And this is a heck of a matchup. Marshall's a really good football team, offensively and defensively. Defensively, they're one of the top teams in the country. You know, third down percentage, they're outstanding. They fly around. They're physical. Offensively, they run the ball well. You know, their starting running back ran for almost 1,500 yards. Their quarterback ran for over 500 yards. They've got physical receivers on the outside that do a good job at the point of attack, winning the 50-50 ball. So it's going to be a really fun matchup. And, you know, I got the feeling this morning that, you know, there's an excitement. It's sometimes a little bit difficult when you're this far out to have the energy that you'd like to have. But I thought the guys practiced well. And I think it's a good reward for these guys, and especially the seniors. And we don't have many seniors, but, you know, my mind always goes to Ian, who's been, you know, here for 6 years, and he's been through so much. And he just hung in there, and he has a great attitude, and he is a leader. And to have a chance for him to go experience a bowl game and play against a good team in a great location one more time with his teammates, it's just, you know, those are the things that, there's a lot I love about coaching, but those are certainly things that I love about coaching, is just seeing young men get these opportunities. So we're going to make the most of it, and I think our team's in a good spot emotionally, physically. We're healed up a little bit. You know, Cam and Keelan have both practiced the last 2 weeks, a week and a half. Brian Bruton, we thought that he might be ready to go. He got an X-ray yesterday. It wasn't he's not as far along as we thought he was, but they're going to do a CT scan and see where that is. You know, with that injury and with him, we just got to be really, really careful about throwing him out there if he's just not 100%. I don't want him, you know, emotionally concerned about his elbow at all. It's just not fair to him. So I know he's working hard, but it's a healing process, so there's not a lot he can do. But other than that, it's just, you know, we love football, and we're getting to play more football. And you get to go to a bowl game, and we're going to get, you know, 16, 17, 18 additional practices, which is more than you get in a spring. And I think it's just going to help the development of our team down the road, and certainly, you know, it helps us right now.
Jim,
So,
there's
yeah.
a fine line between the routine and then special that a bowl game is. How do you manage that line?
That's a great question. And I've been to several bowls. So I played was a part of 5 when I was in college, 2 Rose Bowls, an Orange Bowl, 2 Aloha Bowls, and then at UCLA, our teams qualified for bowl 5 out of the 6. I didn't get to coach the 5th one. Someone else got to do that. I was, yeah, I still considered my team going to a bowl game, but I didn't get to go to that. And so I'm trying to just draw on those experiences and what worked and what didn't work. And it's tricky because you want to keep your guys sharp and fresh. And if you start too early and earnest in your preparation, sometimes they can wear out. But we're treating this like we would treat the Super Bowl. So if you're a Super Bowl team and there's a 2-week window between the game and your NFC or AFC championship game, that first week you kind of get all the logistics done. You do your heavy lifting in terms of your installation and your hard practices. And then you go to the site and you just sharpen things up. And you have some fun, you know. These young men, they've earned the right to go enjoy this thing and do the events. But we're going to have good, crisp, focused practices when we're down there, and we're going to stay locked in because I think it's really important for these guys to get to give themselves a chance to have that 7th win. And we're going to play hard. But it's, you just kind of, as you go along through the days, you got to kind of check the temperature and mood of the team and maybe adjust if you have to. Like last week, we tried to keep it fun. Every day at practice, we'd have some type of competition, afterwards, a silly competition, and just try to keep them engaged.
In the vein of fun, was it true you guys were bowling when you found out you were going to?
Yeah, we just finished bowling. But we figured since we're going bowling, we might as well go bowling. So we had a team event Sunday, and we just went to a bowling alley, and we passed out the bowl-bound shirts that we probably could have passed out a couple weeks ago. We decided to save them for that event, and it was fun. It was just, it wasn't my idea. I thought we were going to have a bowl party, and I didn't know what that meant. And then Mickey Grace goes, "Well, we're going bowling, right?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "We're going bowling, so we got to go bowling." So we went bowling. It was fun.
Any worst player, best player?
I wasn't really paying attention. I did not bowl. I just was kind of mingling. I heard Durante was pretty good. I'd say Eric Watts was probably pretty good, but I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the scores. I did see a whole lot of gutter balls, and I saw a couple guys bring out the little thing where, you set it up and then you just roll your ball down, which I don't know about that.
How real is it? You alluded to this during when the selection was being considered, but how real is it? Some teams go to a bowl game, maybe they're disappointed that they didn't go to a different bowl game. Maybe they don't. Obviously, for your team, it was something that you were aiming for.
Yeah.
How real is that difference? Is that difference in terms of the team being motivated to go and play a game like this?
These guys, so during the year, we didn't talk a lot about like down the road objectives because we just felt like the best thing to do was focus on getting better every day and being at our peak and playing to our max every game. But we did have conversations about, let's get to a bowl. Let's get to a bowl. Let's send our seniors out with a bowl game. And so there's zero disappointment. Look, we get to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The hotel we're staying at is on the beach. We get to play a Marshall team. These guys love playing football together. We get another chance to play. So, I don't know what other teams feel like. I know our team's excited. Now, most of them don't really kind of understand what bowl prep looks like. And so, as coaches, we're just trying to guide them through that. And, to your question, the most important thing we can do is like the last 2 days kind of hit our routine so that we're wired in and ready to play. But it's cool. It's cool to be around a group of guys that set an objective and they attained it. And it's fun. It's fun. What we did is, so after we got beat by Michigan and we were sitting here at 1-4, right? And we gave up 148 points, I think, in those 3 games, Syracuse, NC State, and Michigan. And we didn't score a lot. We kind of had a reset meeting. We had a reset meeting, and that's when we kind of talked about some objectives. And I'll tell you guys this, and it's going to seem kind of silly, and maybe I told you this before, but we decided to create our own conference because we're an independent. Did I tell you guys about this yet? Okay. So we decided that we were going to take the remaining 7 teams on our schedule, and we were all going to start 0-0, and that was going to be our conference. So we were going to compete against those 7 teams in the conference, and our goal was to win the conference, and we won the conference. We went 5-2 in conference play, and so I gave them out shirts last week. U Conference. 2022 U Conference champions, and it seems really silly, but it helped us kind of focus, when we'd come through what was a heck of a tough gauntlet there the first 5 weeks. So, I don't know, this is a different group of kids, man. They're just, I say this to you guys all the time. I don't need to say it again. They're a special group.
When you're not in a conference, you have to do things like that, right? You're trying to make a game of 1-game season.
Exactly. And so it just made sense, It just kind of, I don't even know how I thought of it. I think we're flying home from Michigan. I was looking at the schedule and just going, God, how do we reset this whole thing after what we just went through? And we got blasted 3 weeks in a row, And how do we reset our goals so that this doesn't become okay. And you know, you could walk in front of a group of kids or a group of players and present something like that, and they might just go, God, this is so stupid. But, you know, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be the deal or not. But I walked in front of these young men, and they, like, embraced it. And it was kind of cool, you know. And so after the last we had to wait for Liberty to get beat our last week when we didn't play to win the conference. And after they got beat, I started getting texts from the guys, you know, hey, we won the conference, and when are we getting our conference championship shirts and stuff like that. So we got it done. It was fun.
And that was after the Michigan game?
Yeah.
Or after the NC State game?
Who did we play for?
It was NC State after Michigan.
It was after, look, I don't even want to remember those 3 weeks, okay? So it was after the third game, whoever that was. Was it NC State? Okay, it was NC State. Those were like, yeah, I just really don't want to relive those 3 weeks. But it was those 3 games.
Ian's impact on the team, what's that been like for him?
Ian is inspirational to everybody because Ian's had battles on and off the field that everyone understands and has seen firsthand. And like, he's kind of like that pillar, you know, like this is the guy that stuck it out. This is the guy that walks in every morning with a smile on his face. This is the guy that's always saying, tell me how to get better, and yes, and works hard every day that you can count on. On the field, he's consistent. He's dependable. He's likable. So the players like him, and they really respect him. And so like, we point to him a lot, you know. And I think a lot of these guys feel a responsibility to Ian, you know, and to others, but primarily to Ian to send him out the right way. Just because he's the guy that's been here the longest, you know, and been through the most.
How would NFL people look and evaluate a guy who's been in college for 6 years? Would they...
Well, many ways. Number one, you know, they're going to look at his physical skills and his height and his weight and his speed and, you know, the measurables. I don't think it would ever be a negative. You know, he's more mature. He's played more football. He's older. He understands life a little better. So I think that, you know, they're going to come in and say, hey, he was there 6 years. They had a COVID year. He wanted to stick around. He's a good teammate. He's a leader. And then they're going to come in and talk to us about his intangibles, his character, his work ethic, you know, how dependable he is, all those types of things. And then they're going to evaluate him on film and through his measurables. But I don't think anyone would ever ding him for that.
Jim, from bowling to this conference and the T-shirts and some stuff you guys did around the building, around Halloween, it seems like while you've taken care of business on the football side, there's been a real emphasis for making sure these kids actually enjoy themselves and have fun as a student athlete at UConn. And Ian and everyone else who's been around for a few years, it couldn't have been a very fun experience. But I'm just wondering, how much do you emphasize making sure they're having fun in life and enjoying what they're doing here?
I think it's really important at this age, especially, you know. We are really demanding, very, very demanding of these young men, and they respond. And because they respond, it makes it easy to say, hey, let's do things to make sure it's enjoyable for them. You know, let's have a Halloween party. Let's go bowling. You know, after practice, let's do PKs. Let's have a golfing contest. We did a pump, pass, and kick, you know. But we get our work done, you know. So so Bill Russell, who's one of my idols, you know, when he talked about the Boston Celtics, he said the Boston Celtics had a unique way of playing like children without being childish. And that's the distinction there. And so we try to operate kind of in those parameters. You know, let's make it fun. Let's have that joy of a child, but let's never act silly and childish. And I think, you know, and I've expressed that to them many, many times. I've shown them videos of Bill. He was my neighbor when I lived in Seattle. I got to know him really, really well. It was like one of the most fortunate things in my life to, you know, be around a guy like Bill Russell. And so these players understand that concept. So they have fun, but they're not silly. It's pretty cool, you know.
Is that something you've really embraced about being a coach in college?
Yeah. Oh, big time, and especially here. You know, it's just been different for me here, and I credit the players for that and the staff, you know, and probably me maturing and settling down a little bit, you know. But I've said it so many times. These young men are so They don't have any sense of entitlement. And so you just, when you're around that, it's enjoyable. And you want to make sure that they're having a great experience. But they also understand how to work and what a standard is, and what our expectations are and how they hold themselves to those standards, those expectations, and they do it. So it's been good. Look, I want them to be in this building as much as possible, around each other as much as possible. That's how you grow together. And I've seen them really grow together through the things that we've done.
Coach, how have those younger players really stuck to the process ahead of the bowl game? I know you've got guys like Aaron Turner, who's a sophomore, Victor Rose, who's a freshman. They're coming into a program that really hasn't been to this stage.
Well, they don't really know any better. And what I would really hope is that as we go through the years here, that this becomes, the minimum for us. This becomes that these young guys like you're talking about and the other freshmen is that, hey, we go to bowl games, and every year our objective is going to be to go to, to improve our record, and give ourselves a chance to have, more success. But you want this to be the bare minimum, 6-6, hopefully 7-6. We want that to be the minimum expectation. And so when the young guys come in their first year and that was the standard that was set, or that was what was achieved, then you just keep talking about taking steps forward. And if you're the right type of character young man, which I believe we have, then that makes sense to him. Certainly a guy like Victor and AT, the two guys you mentioned. All right. Oh, go ahead.
Guys who have been injured and haven't been able to play, how will they get to play in the bowl game? How good do you feel for them that they've come through a lot this season now that they're really getting rewarded?
Yeah, I think really it's Cam and Keelan are the two, because I don't think anyone else, unless Brian comes back, that we're kind of status quo. I was kind of hoping that some of the young offensive linemen would be ready to do some things, but they're not. I think it's really important. They miss so much practice during the season. And so these, whatever I said, 14, 15, 16, however many practices it is between the bowl or now in the bowl, those are critical for those guys. And then getting a chance to play in the game and just improve is critical for them, and so it's a good sign. And, watching Cam, Cam's been kind of ginger for the last few weeks in terms of the way he's practiced. It's, he's been kind of feeling his way out or feeling his way around that foot. And last week and last night, which was kind of a walkthrough, and today, you see him gaining confidence in that foot. And so that's going to help us going forward.
Jim, I just wanted to ask you about your experience so far with John Marinelli on staff. Just how that relationship was formed, how it came to be, and what it's brought to the program so far.
Well, I knew his dad. I was aware of his dad. I didn't know him. I was aware of him, and I was aware of John, obviously. I spent time back here at ESPN, and that name is, to me, in coaching, it's a name that's well known. And I wanted, as you guys know, I want to make sure that we had men on our staff that were familiar with this area and our recruiting footprint. And he was at Illinois, and he just seemed like the perfect fit. And he's a young coach. He hasn't coached a lot, but he's just got a tremendous personality. He knows everybody, and he's able to kind of guide me on, okay, you need to be at this game. You need to talk to this guy. You need to be seen here. You need to make a connection with this guy. You don't need to go to this game this week, but next week you got to go see these games. And I just listened to him. Because, to be honest with you, he's the expert and I'm the neophyte. And so I'm just going to try to learn from him when it comes to that, because we have to be great in this area. And he makes it a lot easier to make the connections that are necessary.
I think he's got a bright future.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think, I think he's one of those guys that, we're going to look up in a few years and he's going to be a head coach somewhere, I don't know. His name's so strong in the Northeast. And there's a lot of programs around here that I think he could make an impact on. But it's always good to have guys like that on your staff, for sure. He's got good energy, and he's got a great attitude. He's got a great family, and I love it when his dad comes around, because that's fun and funny, and he's crotchety, and he reminds me of my dad, and so it's fun.
With Nate Carter, entering the portal, was that a surprise at all? There were discussions about that?
It was not. I wasn't really surprised. We had not talked about it. I talked about it with him when he first got hurt. It just kind of felt as we went through the year, that might be something that he'd consider. I had a conversation with him early Monday morning, and he had a lot of conviction about wanting to do that. And you know what? If that's his dream or his goal or his conviction, then I think it's important we support it. This whole transfer portal thing is absolutely crazy. And I asked Nate, you know, when he said he wanted to transfer, I said, you know, you need a place to land. You need a place to go play. You know, do you have offers? And he says, not officially. You know, I don't have offers because no one tampered with him. But, you know, there's back channel ways that people can get information. So as long as he ends up happy and playing somewhere, then good for him. And we have over the next, between now and Monday, we have 4 running backs coming in out of the portal. So we're going to fill that spot immediately with a really good player, and we're gonna move on, and hopefully Nate has a very successful career, because he's, you know, he's an A1 kid.